work on a day in and day out basis. They just do incredible work, and I know I say it a lot, but I don't say it enough. I mean, they are just working at a level that I have not seen consistently over the past 26 years. They're working hard, putting in a lot of hours, and really utilizing their expertise to get these violent offenders off of our street. This is evident as they continue to make our community safer by arresting these violent offenders. I'm proud of them, and the hard work, as you all know, is 24/7. They don't get a day off. Even when they get a day off, we're oftentimes calling them to come back in and get the work done. I'm happy to announce, but also saddened by the facts and circumstances, that our homicide team has closed the case in the fatal shooting of a young rising star, young lady who is known to us because she worked in this very building. She worked in this very building as an intern. You've heard her story, that she was going to be a doctor. She had the whole world in front of her, and sadly, a simple dispute cost her life. Her life mattered, and the simple dispute should not have led to this conclusion, which was, unfortunately, she was shot and killed in our city. I want our family to know that our thoughts and prayers are still with them, and our officers have done everything they could in this investigation, which has led to a very professional investigation and ultimately an arrest. The young woman was an intern with the Detroit Fire Department, and as I indicated, she had a bright future. And before we move on to the perpetrator and giving them too much time, I want to take a moment and talk about the life of this young woman, this future rising star. And I'm going to bring up Commander McGinnis, whose team led that investigation, to talk about her and bring some more insight into the investigation. Commander.
Thank you, Chief. As always, I want to express my condolences to the victim's family. They are suffering through a loss that those of us that haven't experienced what they're going through have no way of understanding. And unfortunately for this family, it's the second type of experience with this. They lost a sibling of our victim 10 years ago. So it's very tragic for this family, and the community needs to support them and help them in their healing. As Chief mentioned, we're glad to report that we were able to make an arrest, and the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office was able to issue charges on an offender for this case, but that doesn't bring her back. And so our support, we're here to support them and encourage you to do the same. As you're aware, on Friday, August 12th, police responded to a police run where the brother of our victim had discovered his sister deceased in a car. From that time, the officers began their homicide investigation, and through technology and witnesses, they were able to identify the offender. And on Sunday, just this past Sunday, August 21st, we took him into custody. We submitted a warrant request to the prosecutor's office detailing all the information and facts of the case, and Madam Prosecutor authorized charges including murder in the first degree, felon in possession, felony firearm, and habitual for. The defendant in the case is named Gregory Reynolds, and he was a male, 46 years old. I can share with you that he was an acquaintance of our victim, and that there was an argument that he decided to settle with gunfire. So with that, again, I'd ask you to please help support the family, and I'll take questions after.
Good afternoon. As was stated earlier, Zambrisha Works was part of our team, part of our family. She was a junior fire cadet with us this summer. For that short time, she just touched us, her spirit, her energy, her love for the citizens of Detroit, her love for the fire department, and just her love and her energy for people. She She was a very hard worker, very kind person. Her smile would just light up a room, just light up the hallway every time she walked in the morning. So from the Detroit Fire Department, Commissioner Sims and everyone, we just like to, our prayers go out to her family, her friends, and everybody. We want to thank the Detroit Police Department for closing this case. Thank you.
Again, a very tragic case, and that did not have to happen. Another young person taken way too soon, senseless violence in our community. I'll switch gears here a bit and talk about the shooting death of a 5-year-old that happened late last night, early this morning. Again, another child getting a hold of a gun. It's heartbreaking to say that this child found a gun in a home without any appropriate supervision. The gun was not properly secured, and sadly the child, being inquisitive as children are, turned a gun on himself, and it appears at this point, investigation is still relatively new, that the child shot himself. He succumbed to his injuries at an area hospital. He was pronounced dead shortly after arrival at the hospital. And how many times are we going to stand here and have these pleas to people who have weapons to properly secure them? Way too often we're standing here with the same plea. We have gun locks. We will bring you a gun lock. We will be out on the street this afternoon. I will be out there this afternoon in a community with gun locks. We can give you a gun lock. Secure your weapon. I'm not going to get into the specifics of what happened with this case other than to say the weapon was unsecured. The caregiver was not doing that, giving care for the children. There were 2 children in the home, and sadly the 5-year-old shot himself. Commander McGinnis is going to come up and talk a little bit high level about that case. Again, there's certain information we cannot get into yet. We do have someone in custody. We want to make sure that we submit a clean warrant to the prosecutor's office for charges in the near future. Commander.
Thank you, sir. So this incident occurred yesterday evening, about 10:30 p.m. in the 19700 block of Oakman. As Chief mentioned, our victim is a 5-year-old male. His brother, a 7-year-old male, was present in the house when this occurred, along with a 29-year-old male described to be the uncle who is in police custody at this time. The uncle was the person that had care and custody of the children at the time of the incident. We've spoken to mother, and of course she's very distraught. She's been very cooperative with our investigation, and we will be submitting a warrant request to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office for her review on issuing charges against the individual who's in custody, who had care and custody of the children at the time of the incident. Thank you.
All right, at this time we'll take any questions.
Hi, Chief. Well, what weapon was used in the shooting with the 5-year-old? Kind of weapon, I guess.
I have to correct myself. It was Oakfield, not Oakman. I apologize on the street. That's part of the investigation. It appears it was a handgun, but unfortunately I can't give you any more details at this time.
Okay. And where was it found? I don't know if you can say that.
At this time, I'm not able to elaborate on that.
Okay. And Chief, if charges are approved by the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, I mean, we talk a lot in here about punishments or lack thereof. What do you want folks to know? There are consequences in these cases.
Yeah, and I know that the prosecutor's working on some legislation with regards to people who don't properly secure their weapon that causes this type of situation to happen. But there's already some things on the books, reckless endangerment, child neglect. I mean, I'm not sure exactly the direction that the investigation will take us. But what I want people to know is, owning a gun, as we've said many times, I don't forget any of these children that are shot or murdered in our city, and certainly those that we deem as clearly preventable. And what's clearly preventable is if you have to have a weapon in your home and there are children in your home, secure the weapon. We've been here too many times, talking about this, and it's really a sad moment when no one is taking it serious. And now we have to bury another child in our community, one of Detroit's children that will not be able to grow up, not be a newscaster, not be the police chief, not be a board of police commissioner, not be a council person, gone, 5 years old. And if, we have I'm gonna say it, an obsession with guns. And if you're going to partake in this obsession with weapons, you have to partake in the responsibility of securing the weapon. And that's just it, period. So the takeaway is there's going to be consequences when you don't do that. And we're gonna be submitting a warrant.
Chief, was there a search at a neighbor's house in this case?
I don't know. There were several search warrants executed, but I can't speak specifically as to which house was hit as a result of the search warrant. As I indicated, we got a lot of requests on information on this case. A lot of people were touched by yet another child being lost in our community, so we found it necessary to brief out the community based on the requests that we've received. But this case is very, very active. I mean, there are people on the ground right now looking at pieces of this case, so I can't get into too much specific detail other than to let the community know, again, this is a result of negligence, and this is not a child that was targeted. This is negligence.
And then Chief, also, we know this is not the first time this year. This isn't even the 10th. Can you speak at all about the stats?
Yeah, I know. I didn't bring the stats with me. We were looking at them, and we can provide you that after this briefing. But too many, and we pray that this is the last time I'm standing here on this subject. I hope that someone that's listening makes a decision to secure the weapon. Everyone thinks it can't happen to them until it does. You have children. Children are inquisitive. They're young. They're doing what they're supposed to do as children. And oftentimes, when you look at the things that they play with, they're guns, right? They're play guns. They're using video games that are shooting. And so they see a gun. It's not unreasonable for them to think that it's a toy. So if you have a gun, and a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, secure it.
Hey, Chief, did the gun belong with the uncle or the family or the house?
At this point, we're still looking at all of that. We know who our caregiver was. So he inherited the responsibility to do just that. We're looking at the gun ownership piece and all of that as it relates to who should have had possession. But as a caregiver, we know there was a weapon in his home, and he was responsible for being a caregiver, and that's a huge responsibility.
Hi, Chief. Regarding Works, can you talk a little more about the nature of that argument and what led up to it?
Not yet. Commander, do you have any high level?
No, I don't want to interfere.
Yeah, so and I apologize. We want to brief out these cases and keep the community informed. We are committed to being transparent with our community and share information as much as possible. But we also have a responsibility to the process. The prosecutor has a lot of work to do. And if I say the wrong thing, we give too much, we'll have a violent offender back on the street.
Okay, so can you talk about the nature of the relationship?
They were known to each other, and this was not random. They were known to each other, and there was a simple, emphasis on simple argument that led to the resolution being this person, this 40-year-old, decided to shoot this 22-year-old over an argument.
All right, thanks.
Hey, Chief, I apologize if you stated this. I know you said the mom is being cooperative. Is the uncle, the person who's investigating,
Mom is devastated, and she's cooperating as much as she possibly can, as you can imagine. The suspect is just that, a suspect, and so he's, taking advantage of the rights that he has as a suspect. That's not going to stop us from doing our investigation. We're confident that we're going to have charges. His cooperation at this point is inconsequential to what we're going to do.
any previous dealings between the mom and CPS?
I'm not going to do that to her. That's irrelevant at this point. I don't think she was negligent in this case at all. She lost her baby. We're going to let that sit there for now. But we'll be looking into all aspects.
Hey, Chief, was this a gun that was owned legally? Can you speak on that at all?
Not yet.